All right, guys. So you have to forgive me for a little bit of language there, and if you're mad, then you can let us know in the comments. But the funny clip, but reality of it is it's not funny, right? We got Disney and several woke corporations pushing the woke agenda on us, and especially Disney being somebody that for generations is someone that families have flocked to. We are tired of it, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And the hijacking of family values, and we're actually, and Jarrett, we talked about this last night. We have some content and some resources that we're working on. We're going to be putting out for all of you guys watching, and all of our families, all of our friends, to help with these issues as they come up, and also some resources to help with the upcoming election and getting the word out, because we're pushing forward, we're marching forward, and that's something 511 is doing specifically. But the cost of this corporate wokeism, and we're going to get into that too. We've seen companies like Budweiser, and sadly for me, because I don't drink, but sadly for me on the next one, Harley Davidson now is falling underneath that. And we're seeing Disney has been almost a leader in that for a long time. And but the truth is, there's puppet masters behind the curtain pulling the strings, because these companies are losing money. Their market caps are going down, and it's time for us as conservatives, it's time for us as Christians to stop doing as we're told, sitting in a corner and staying quiet. And obviously, if y'all have known me for any length of time, and I know I can say the same about Jarrett, I know I can say the same about Kenton, who's been on with me this week covering for Jarrett, as he was down a little bit. We had a fallen soldier, man down, sadly, but I'm glad you're back, brother. Renata, my wife, all of our team here at 511 and our extended family. These are the things that we're fighting against, because we care about the future of our children, our communities, our country. And we were having some conversations about this yesterday, and it's like, is there a divide between my values as a Christian and my values as a conservative? And sometimes there is, right? And this is an interesting conversation to get into, Jarrett, because there's things that I believe as a conservative that don't necessarily 100% perfectly line up with my Christian values, right? So like things I want push forward. As a Christian, I'm like, well, we got to deliver this in love. But at the same time, as a conservative, I'm like, well, I also care about the society and the culture my kids grow up in. And so that's the reason that we talk about these issues. And we're going to be bringing more of these types of issues to you guys, more pop culture stuff. And y'all can thank Jarrett for this, because it was his brilliant idea, master plan. And thank you, Jarrett. I'm not being sarcastic when I say this. Jarrett's idea to bring us some more pop culture. So we're going to talk about pop culture stuff in the future here. We're going to be talking sports. We're going to be talking music. But today, specifically, we're talking about Disney. And thank you, Jarrett, for pushing that thought process into this show.
Oh, no problem, Mike. We're a team. And I just realized pop culture, music, movies, sports, they're so inundated with political angles. They're inundated with liberal woke ideologies. And this is something that our kids are being, they're watching constantly, and stuff that we're watching constantly, but we're not really paying attention to the message. So to talk about these issues, it's not an unchristian thing to do, because we're surrounded by these things. We're surrounded by this pop culture, just like we're surrounded by almost everything Disney. They own Marvel. I think they own Fox. I mean, pretty much almost everything you're watching, your child's watching, is influenced.
They own ESPN.
ESPN, yes. Almost everything is influenced by this woke agenda, and we need to get to the root causes of it. But we also need to point it out to you guys, so you guys know what's going on. Because let's be real, sometimes we just park our kids in front of the TV. We think the show is safe because that's a Disney or Nickelodeon in front of the title. In actuality, it's some of the most woke nonsense on television and possibly in history, and it's being shoved in our kids' faces. So this is why we're going to dive into some pop culture. And today we're going to start about Disney. You know, Disney used to be one of the most magical places on earth, but today is making headlines for totally different reasons, from adding, you know, alternative storylines to go against the classics, from changing characters' races, which don't make sense based off the story. You know, Disney is really in a spotlight for their social justice issues. But is this something that we really want? Is this something that the consumers want? And this is what we're going to dive into. But really, realistically, is this something the parents want? Because we're the ones taking our children to Disney. We're the ones buying the products, and we're the ones putting this in our child's lives because, you know, again, we're supporting it. But is this something that we should support? You know, Mike, I know you had some issues on some thoughts on this.
Yeah. I know as a parent, Jarrett, and I've had conversations about this with many people, including my own family members. And they're like, well, you know, should we limit our entertainment, the things we enjoy doing, because of things we disagree with? Like I've been one, and I'm pretty extreme when it comes to this. Like, for example, like I pretty much, as a rule, unless it's like the big game, don't watch NFL anymore. I refer to NFL as National Fascist League. And you know, we won't watch Disney. Now, my wife will make an exception for older movies that we know are safe for the kids to watch and stuff. She won't buy them directly from Disney. She'll buy them secondhand or something like that, because we don't want to continue to support Disney in any way. We won't go to the parks. We won't do any of those things, because it goes against, like, supporting them is supporting opposition to our own beliefs. And again, yeah, I'm extreme, but I get to say what I do with my money. I get to say what our family does with our money, with our dollars. And we've seen over the past few years them pull back also, because we're making a point to do it. And it's not just me. I'm not the only one. If I was the only one, it'd be futile, right? But we know it's not futile, because we're seeing positive results from it. I don't know if you noticed, but my wife pointed it out to me, Jarrett. The Target, like a couple years ago, like during and I affectionately refer to it as Shame Month. During Shame Month, there was flags and rainbows everywhere and everything all over Target. Come this year, they pulled way back on that. Why? Because we took a stand against it. We're not putting up with it anymore. You're seeing Disney kind of pulling back from the same. I had a conversation with, and I have a couple good friends of mine, and when we bring this subject up in the future, we might bring one of them on, Jarrett. But a couple of our extended 511 family, Steve Southers, who was on the show Muscle Matters last night, great trainer on the supplement shop here in Bakersfield, and one of our longtime valued team members, Nathaniel. They're like, well, yes, Disney's ruined pretty much everything they've touched in the past 5 years or so, but they've been pulling back. So yes, there's a lot of things that we disagree with. There's a lot of things that we're going to take a stand against, but there's also positive results coming from that. So anyway, guys, if real quick, if you guys believe in the mission here at 511 and what we stand for, and you guys have seen that every day as we talk, help us spread the mission. And you can do that as simply as going out and sharing our content, making sure you subscribe to the content. And then also checking out online. We have an online store, our merch, at 511media.co/shop. And I've been bringing this guys to you every day, but I'll bring it up again. We have t-shirts, we have sweatshirts, we have drinkware. Darius, can you bring up the image of the t-shirt that we had designed? Okay, so this is the front, brave, hated, scorned, and then let's see the back. In the beginning of a change, in case you guys can't read this, it's a quote by Mark Twain. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man, and brave and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. So you believe in what we're doing, support us by sharing our content or going and checking out the merch we have on our shop. Also, got a couple more announcements. The Covenant Coffee, longtime supporter of 511 Media Group, covenantcoffee.org. You can go check them out online. They got K-Cups. They got all the things you need. They don't have coffee machines. Jarrett, my coffee machine broke this morning. We had to spend about 30 minutes trying to make pour over coffee. So that was a ton of fun. But Covenant Coffee has all the things you need to take care of your coffee cravings. And they have a great mission as well. They support the Emancipated Foster Youth of Kern County. Their other programs they're involved with support the foster youth of Kern County. You can check them out if you're in Bakersfield, across the street at Mohawk in California, or on North Chester. And we also have a couple events coming up, one or more that, well, both of them, our team will be at. Some of us will be at both. Some of us will be at one. But let's first roll that video for America Fest. Darius.
What you represent, your presence here, the largest multi-day event in conservative grassroots history. Is a message that will be heard by these people. Phoenix, Arizona, people from all over the country.
It's remarkable because it brings everybody
One of
together.
my favorite of the year.
Energy, let us want you to see it.
Stakes are high. We have only begun to fight.
All right, guys. So AmFest in Phoenix, December 19th through the 22nd. Guys, Jarrett will be there. I'll be there. Several members from our 511 family is going to be there. You guys are going to have to check it out. It's going to be a party. We're going to be celebrating victory. Good morning, Renata. Love seeing you here. Always glad to have you back after being down yourself. And guys, the other event coming up, and I'm gonna let Jared announce this one because Jared, are you running this event?
No, I'm participating and help setting it up. Because again, I love Blexit. They're my family. I'll be having a pastor roundtable before this event. But for this event, it's going to be in Philadelphia. It's called Blexit Night of Faith. It takes place 9/14/2024, obviously, and it's going to be from 5 to 7. And I can announce the speakers now. We're going to have, let me go down my list. We're going to have Vince E. Elson. We're going to have Pastor Jamie Centeno. We're going to have, you've seen him at the RNC convention, Pastor Lorenzo Sewell. We're going to have Madeline Brame. You also saw her at the convention. You've seen her a lot at Trump rallies. She's the state director of Blexit, New York, and she's a fantastic freedom fighter. I mean, what she's doing for bail reform, I mean, it's untouched. Madeline's an excellent speaker. You're going to love it. And also helping with the praise and worship, we have Rakita Harper, another Blexit alum, amazing singer. And we have some more names to come. So, guys, you definitely want to tune in. The information is on the screen. We'll drop the sign-up link in our whatever the chat box is. We'll drop the sign-up link. But, guys, you definitely want to come out for this lovely night of praise and worship. And it's going to be the heart of Philadelphia, really giving back to the community. And I'll be there. Mike's going to be there. It's going to be a can't-miss event.
Yeah, and Jared, I think this event is. Yeah, I heard this morning this event is growing, so good chance it's going to sell out.
Yeah, you want to get your tickets now, guys, before it's too late. Blexit events always sell out, so you definitely want to be in the building. It's, again, can't miss event, and it's always a great turn up when you hit Philadelphia.
That's right. That's right. So we're talking, guys, about Disney and all of the frustrations. Sadly, you know, Disney was a company that my family and I loved. I remember so many times going to the Disney parks growing up, and so many great memories from there. But I took my kids there once a few years ago. My youngest has never been, and unless things change, we won't be. And again, it's questionable. Um, I'm not going to call anybody out live on the air that I love or that's close to me, but I've had people again say to me like, "You're punishing yourself." I'm like, I'm choosing to vote with my dollars on what I support. 8 years ago, Lou Davies says 8 years ago was the last time we went. Yeah, but guys, why am I making these decisions? We got some examples, but let's start with the first video there, Darius. Go ahead and throw it up on the screen. Snow White. And dead air. Darius, if you don't have that one, pull up the next one. I have them underlined in our outline.
Yeah, that Snow White stuff is crazy. Like, you guys are gonna love this video. You know, I can't stand when people go work and go woke and end up hurting an entire group of people when they try to act like they're helping those people. You know, that's exactly what Disney's doing with their wokeness in this Snow White. You know, it's a classic story. There's nothing wrong with the story, and now they're just turning the story into a bunch of trash for the sake of wokeness. And again, and the bottom dollar is that their stock prices are dropping. It's costing people money. You know, this woke agenda is really nothing good.
Yeah. Okay. Seems like we might be having Darius. If you have it, pull it up. I can't see. There we go.
Gotta be the worst marketing I've ever seen for a movie. I mean, the new Snow White actress is literally walking around interview to interview just bashing Snow White.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online. I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. The reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago. It's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power. She's not going to be saving the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Doesn't this just seem like such a fun movie? That actress is so smug, and this movie's going to flop.
Yeah. So that movie's been delayed multiple times because they keep having to change the plot of it. They keep having to change the storyline because they're realizing, hey, everyone that is getting wind of what's going on there is just like, no. Even their own people are not enjoying or not in favor of what they're doing. So let's look at the next clip. And I want to share a few different clips here because just kind of give you guys, and I think most of you guys have probably at least heard. We want to kind of really drive this home of the types of things that Disney's in. So, Darius, do you have that next one? Yeah, go ahead.
Walt Disney Company is paying for puberty blockers for children. Take a look at this damning document that was provided to us from an insider at Disney today. As you can see on your screen, if you work at Disney, the company allows you to receive puberty blockers for your child, an irreversible sterilization drug that changes the life of your child forever. Internally, Disney pays a medical plan through Cigna Healthcare. Through Cigna, Disney employees have access to counseling, prescription coverages, provider referrals, and yes, puberty blockers for minors. It all starts with referrals. Employees and their dependents can be referred by their healthcare providers for these treatments, which are then covered under Disney's medical plan with Cigna. Let me repeat this again. This internal document that we received from a whistleblower working at the Walt Disney Company reveals.
So Disney taking part in, strangely, the wrong side of the war against our children that we've been talking about, and I've been talking about, and we're having some resources created about this as well. Jared, I'm really excited about the stuff we're working on in the background. I know I've shared that with some of it with you, but what we're trying to do here at 511, guys, isn't just talk about the issues. So y'all heard the expression, don't just talk about it, be about it. And that's something that was driven home. And I was in a church service on Sunday, as I am every Sunday, pretty much. But something that really struck me was we can't just bring content alone, because content isn't enough. We have to get involved in the issues. And because I care so deeply about the direction that this country's headed, I care so deeply about also the souls that are being lost, that are being led astray. And the more prevalent we allow this stuff to become in our society, the more people are being led astray. And so let's play the next clip here, Darius. Go ahead and bring it up.
Jeannie Giannani, the creative marketing director at Disney, was asked about allowing LGBTQ content to be shown to children. Jeannie agreed that he wants children to see the content and that it is, quote, the unspoken thing.
I despise those kind of people that want to accuse of Disney of grooming children. Like, but I also want children to see LGBTQ content. Don't you agree? Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's the unspoken thing. Am I going to see a drag queen at Disneyland or anything like that? Do you want to do that? Get a drag queen at Disneyland. Yeah. I think so. That would be cool. I'm sure that's definitely.
When asked by our OMG undercover journalist if he would authorize drag queens to be present at Disneyland, where children are, mind you, Jeannie the drag queen said, well, he would love to. It will happen at some point. From classic Disney princesses to drag queens, the transformation of children's programming at the Walt Disney Company is happening.
Guys, don't think that this isn't going to happen. This is now. If we continue to push forward with our fight, if we continue to take a stand against stuff, we can slow it down, at least, if not ultimately force them to switch directions. Because Jared, the thing is, on all this stuff, it's the vocal minority. And so y'all watching, and all of our friends, maybe not all of them, but vast majority of them at least, our friends, and that, I said that collectively, talking to all of you guys, all of us here, all of our extended 511 media family, we're the majority, right? But the reason this stuff's been crammed down our throat, and it's going to continue to be crammed down our throat if we don't speak up and if we don't say anything, is because we've stayed silent. We're the silent majority. Quit being the silent majority. It's because we've been the silent majority. There is the reason that these things are being forced upon our children, and they're shifting the wiring. They're rewiring our kids' brains in classrooms and through content on Disney, through media, and through the things that are coming down the pipe through politics. The politicians that are attempting to put this stuff in place. We just had a conversation, and I hate to shift everything back to politics, but in my mind, it does all go there, right? We had a conversation, a debate, healthy debate, but a debate yesterday about, Tim Walz and his war on children and his ideologies in Minnesota of creating a transgender refuge state, and how they are and will take children from their families if the families are not in agreement with a 6-year-old, for example, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, all these ages of my children, and their fantasies that they randomly will have, because children don't think logically the same way that we as adults do. They have entertaining ideas that pop in their head from time to time, and maybe one day one of them says, "Hey, I was born a boy, but now I decide I'm a girl." Because partially, by the way, and that's the reason why we're talking about Disney, because the ideologies that Disney's pushing forward. Now they go into school, and the school says, "Oh, you think you're a girl? Okay, well let's go ahead and help you become a girl. And your parents don't want you to become one. Okay, we'll just take you from their house." And these are the ideologies that Tampon Tim has forced into the state, and he's bringing to the rest of this country if we continue to be this silent majority. And again, we're the majority, guys. We are the majority. Quit being silent.
Exactly. We got to stop. We got to stop being silent. And I know the reason why everyone's so silent. They think they're going to be called out for hate. It's not hate to say that you don't want your children sexualized. It's not hate to say you don't want drag queens around your 3 or 4 year old. You know, I wouldn't want strippers around my 3 and 4 year old. It's not the fact that it's, you know, LGBTQ, whatever, add letters and signs they had to their name. Can't even keep up at this point. But it's really for the point of don't sexualize our kids. Give them a chance to grow. Let parents have a say in what their children are learning and what their children are seeing. You know, they're effectively pushing the parents out because they could care less about our opinion because we don't fit their woke agenda. And we are the majority. But you're right, the majority is silent because they're scared. They're scared to be, again, as you say, black people, kicked out the barbecue. They're scared to, you know, be invited to the party because they don't want to be on the outside. That's why again, back to politics, that's why the Democrats are calling everything we do weird. They're saying it's weird so we don't feel like we should do it. It's saying weird so we can feel like we're not part of the in crowd, so we shy away and we hide our true feelings. You know what's really weird? The fact that this guy from Disney knows drag queens are sexual, but he wants them to come around kids. The fact that he's okay with grooming kids and forcing an agenda on kids. And now I say, hey, they say, oh, what about you guys trying to force Christianity on children and things of that nature? No, we're not going into the schools. We're not going into your house. We're not saying throwing Bibles at you. We're not forcing our things onto you, but you're forcing your stuff onto us. And that's wrong, you know? And not even just about Christianity. There's people who come from Muslim countries, come from other countries, come to America to practice their religion the way they see fit, and you're showing it's in their face too. So you attack Christianity, you shove this LGBTQ agenda down people's faces, and you ignore every other religion who has an issue with this and act like they don't even exist because you don't want to perceive them as negative because it's only cool to bash Christians nowadays. It's a complete, it's a complete fiasco. It's really awful, and it's not what Disney or this country is about. I really Walt Disney's probably rolling in his grave at the things that he did to his company. And I understand why you guys did it in the first place. You try and make up for your years and years of racism, which you guys all of a sudden erase. You know, there's a whole bunch of cartoons you could check on Google, YouTube. Donald Duck in a Nazi outfit. You know, people in blackface. You know, all sorts of things Disney just ignored and didn't say anything about. But so you know what? Let's talk about this LGBT stuff. That could erase all our past. It's the same thing all these politicians, other people are doing too. They want to erase their past atrocities by jumping on a bandwagon and supporting a new victim class. Guess what? Just because you like to sleep with men, just because you think you're a woman and when you're not, does not make you a victim. It makes you someone who needs some help. You need someone that we're going to pray for, but it doesn't make you a victim in any sense.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you talk about this racist stuff, and you know, I for obvious reasons never really experienced that part of it, but I know that I've witnessed it and I've seen it. You know, that they had this, which is very interesting because I never knew growing up, Jarrett. You know, like the whole. What was it? The Briar Rabbit and the ride that they had. I forget, with Splash Mountain, and but that thing. And then I saw some clips of that, and I was like, oh my gosh, that content was pretty wild. And I would never show that to my kids, but just because we messed up over here, let's swing the pendulum all the way to the other side and continue messing, because that's all you're doing is you're that was a different type of indoctrination, but they were still indoctrinating racism at that time. But now they've gone the other way. Now they're saying, hey, it's okay to indoctrinate kids as long as we're indoctrinating with woke culture. No, it's not okay. Guys, it's not okay to indoctrinate kids regardless of what the ideologies are. Now, I've had people come against me and say, hey, you're indoctrinating your children. And there's a difference, because when it's my children, it's called parenting. I'm not trying to parent your kids, yet you're trying to, you know, and I know I'm not talking to you guys watching, but I'm not trying to parent their kids. They're trying to tell me how to parent my kids, and they're trying to force this stuff on my kids. And if I don't like it, they want to take actions against me. So, you know, we've been called names and everything else. And guess what? I don't care. In fact, I think it's funny. Jared, you haven't maybe seen this, but there's people, a lot of arguments going on our social media channels and stuff, and I'm just sit back and laugh because you see people go at it, and we're not trying to do stuff to cause people to go at it and stuff. We're trying to get you to think and get you to wake up, and also again continue to reinforce this, but we also want to prepare, equip, and provide resources. So, but Jarrett, we're not the only ones that feel this way, and we have another clip that just as an example, because I said that we're the silent minority. Stop being silent. I'm going to continue to say that. Stop being silent. But there's other people that feel the same way. Lots of them, loads of them. Probably most of the people that you guys all know. Right, most people that I know, most people that Jarrett, probably most people you know, and this is, I think, an interesting, good point. Jarrett, you probably know a lot of liberal people, right?
Oh, I know tons. Most of my friends are liberals. See, I was one of the few people who I don't base my friendship off political connections. I have friends who are Democrat socialists. I have friends who like support Hamas. They're interesting dinner conversations. I still love them. But I always say, living in New Jersey, yes, I'm surrounded in a sea of blue, surrounded just like you. They call New Jersey the California of the East, because everything you do, we do 2 months later, because we want to be just like you. So, but it's really weird being, again, surrounded by all these people telling me, my principles are weird. I'm like, hey guys, let's not kill these babies. Hey, I don't think the man with his genitals out should be in front of the baby. Are you sure? Because it's like, he said he's okay with it, and he said he's a woman, but he's not. There's genitals. Like, you can't have this type of things. And again, I love my liberal friends. I love them because they give me good points of views. They'll let me know about things that they feel is going on with the Conservative Party. And once in a while, they'll hit the nail on the head. They'll let we're missing something, right? But it's never about policies. It's usually about outreach and going to certain classes to get them to come conservative. But again, guys, talk to your liberal friends. Reach out to them. 9 to 10 times they're angry, they're sad, they're depressed, because that's what their news does for them. If I watch MSNBC all day long, I'd be depressed too. If all I did was watch The View in the morning, I'd be depressed. Instead of watching shows like this, which you guys should definitely watch every morning, kick off your morning right, you watch these 4 cackling women, complain about things that are lies just because they want to get their pockets fatter off of those sponsorships. Again, guys, don't fall for it. Watch something that's going to give you something pleasing. Again, it used to be for me like Disney. I used to love watching Marvel, but now Marvel has gone so woke, and there's so many different characters and storylines you can go with. I mean, comic books go forever, right? But instead, you take these characters, you switch their gender, you switch their races, you lose your core audience for the sake of this wokeness. And if you watch all Disney's movies recently, they're all plummeting. They're all doing horrible, and it's for one key factor. Everything is so woke, like they said in our opening video, add a gay woman to it and make it more woke. And that's what they do for everything. They did it to Indiana Jones. They did it to Star Wars. And they're doing it to all the Marvel movies, right? And what am I supposed to watch? I'm a nerd. I like this stuff. You're taking away all the things that I like and making it super woke, because I'm going to stand on my principles. I got a Target around the corner for me. Just open up. I refuse to go. I'll drive 2 miles past it to a different store and go to a Target around the corner, because I didn't like them selling underwear for children that hides their genitals. Like, what are you guys doing? No parent asked for this. And also, no child is asking for this. And the only reason they do ask is because they were groomed by places like Disney or Nickelodeon or all these other YouTube shows. Or like now, it's ridiculous. Miss Rachel, all these shows are grooming children to join this LGBT agenda. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, I'm not so much, but you could think it's for population control, or they know that people part of LGBTQ agendas, communities have lots of disposable capital. So they have a lot of money to spend. And you're doing the same mistake LGBTQ people that Black people did when, quote unquote, we got our rights. We bought everything with kente cloths. We bought everything that's red, black, and green. But now when Juneteenth comes around or Black History Month, we don't buy any of that stuff because we know the companies are pandering to us. But you guys continue to buy this nonsense because you think you're doing something. Buying a rainbow flag from a company does not show you're an ally. It just shows you're a sucker with extra money.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was saying, we're not the only ones that feel this way. Darius, go ahead and play that next clip.
Disney. Well, right now, everything. I thought, as a parent, I had kids that I would be able to put in front of the television, watching a Disney movie while I was doing some work or while I was doing something else. And I thought, they're perfectly safe with Disney movies. Come to find out, they're not safe.
What is your problem with Disney? The grooming, honestly, the task force, the unnecessary wokeness. Do you think that sexual content and gender content should be not taught to children?
Absolutely not. I was a sex crimes detective at Anaheim Police Department, and many of the things that I see Disney doing, or what's happening in our schools, we would have arrested somebody for doing that. It's a criminal offense to show them pornography. Disneyland has said in the videos we've seen released from the corporate office that what they're going to do in the movies, showing them things that we have not okayed as parents. But again, the very things that they're doing are things that we normally would have arrested somebody for.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That's a great point. Something that the things that they're doing are things that not that many years ago they would have been arrested for.
Yeah, that's so true. So true.
Yeah,
they're just pushing it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, brother. But they're pushing this stuff on us and trying to tell us it's normal. And they're trying to tell us that our ideas are weird. Jared, let's talk about that one for a minute. They said that JD Vance and Trump's ideas are weird when the ideas that they have are anti-abortion, pro-family, pro-First Amendment, pro-Second Amendment, and they've been trying to squash the First Amendment. That it's insane the stuff that's going on there. And Jared, what are they calling weird?
They're calling America weird. That's what they're doing. Anything that America was founded on is weird to them. Anything that goes against their liberal agenda, they're going to call weird. And the thing is, most of their stuff, I would say almost all of it is extremely weird. Like, I would say most conservatives and liberals agree on we have to fix our environment. Again, we don't need to spend trillions of dollars on solar panels that don't work and things like that. But that's something that we all can agree on. But everything else, it's just horrible, horrible, weird policies. Like putting tampons in boys' bathrooms. No boy needs that. Or the money they waste on funding for illegals to be here. I think it came out the other day, New York has spent over $5 billion on illegal immigrants in their city. Why their city burns, why people are without food, why veterans are homeless. But it's weird because we want veterans to have a place to live. We want our people in America to be taken care of first. They think anything that doesn't cause you to be government dependent is weird to them because they want you to worship them. They want you to bow at the altar of the government and pray to them as the new gods. And that's what they're trying to replace. They're trying to replace our God with their God, and their God is wokeness. Their God is this false agenda. Their God is this ball, the one they sacrifice baby to. Those are their gods. And we have to fight against that because this is something that we know is going to happen. We know this is a spiritual warfare. We already know the book has foretold all this stuff. But again, while we're here, we have to stand up and stop it because we need to bring more souls to Christ. We need to bring more souls and get those ones who are lost. No one's completely lost. No one's completely gone. But if we don't reach them, they will be. And if we don't stop this agenda that Disney has or these companies have to push stuff that doesn't make sense. And also, it's what we never talk about, that this country doesn't talk about, how the rest of the world perceives us. You might have a couple of woke countries like France and England who are down with this stuff, but the rest of the world doesn't believe this stuff, and we're putting our children at a disadvantage. How can they compete on a world scale when they can't tell what a woman is? They don't do this stuff in China. They're not doing this stuff in South Africa, and I know for a fact they're not doing this in the Caribbean islands because they're totally against this stuff. And there's no way we can compete on a global scale if we keep lying to our kids. The other day, I saw someone saying that 2 + 2 is not 4 because inherently misogynistic and racist. So 2 + 2, they're like, because it's finite.
Racist.
Yeah, because it's finite, and it's definite, and nothing in this world is really definite. So 2 + 2 might be 5. No, nowhere in the world is this plus this equal this. Like, it's impossible. You guys, you can't, like, don't fall for that nonsense. And that's why we talk about this. This is why 511 does what it does, because we have to put an end to these things. And we have to bring your attention to it too, because you might see it on a clip, you might hear someone talk about it, but we come with facts. We might give our opinions, but we back our opinions up with facts, with actual documents, with actual pictures, with actual videos. So you guys can take this with your family and share it with people. Get the message out, guys. So definitely follow us. And then shout out to James O'Keefe and Will Witt. You know, great content. They make amazing content. We love sharing on our shows. But Mike, you know, Disney growing up was one of my favorite things too. And you said you used to go with your family to Disney. How hard was it for you to pull away from this, pull your kids away from Disney? Because I know for myself, when we had to start boycotting football, because my brother goes to the games all the time, or when we start boycotting Target or Budweiser because Stella was my go-to beer I haven't had in years. You know, you lose something that you like, but what have you gained by boycotting such wokeness?
You know, for me, the interesting thing is, Jared, like because I'm the way I'm wired, it's easier for me because I'm like, there's very little gray area in my mind. Not to say that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying, like, I'm an extreme person. I'm either 100% or 0%. There's no 50% for me, right? And I know some other people that are around me that are the same way, that are wired the same way. There is no slowdown. There's either go or stop. So for me, my wife isn't wired the same way. For me, it was easy. For my wife, she had a struggle with it because she's like, you know, I feel like we're depriving our kids and you know, they're missing out. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But there's a bigger picture. There's more at stake here than just what experiences they might miss out on. And we can make up for the $1,000 day trip to Disney with a $200 day trip to the beach, which frankly is more fun anyway, in my mind. And the kids, I think, get more out of it. It's healthier for them. They're not around big crowds. They're learning how to be creative. They're out in nature. And so, you know, I think in certain regards, it's difficult, especially for the rest of my family. It's not as difficult for me. Now, the ones where it is more difficult is Target, right? Because, like, there's things you just have to go there for. Because what are you going to do? Go to Walmart? They're the same way, right? So this is an interesting question and an interesting statement, because people have said you got to pick your value or pick your battles, choose your battles wisely, right? And I've always been, okay, I'll choose them, all of them, because I'm not going to back down. And is it make life more difficult sometimes? Sure. But what's the alternative? Giving in, letting the wokeism creep into our lives. It's just like sin. I mean, to take it there and compare it to that, right? It's just like we make a little compromise and another little compromise and another little compromise, and before you know it, like, we're part of that same crowd that we were against, and that's part of the reason, by the way, why so many people have gone over to that side, because they made a compromise because it was easier, and another compromise because it was easier, and another compromise because it was easier. So they may not have agreed with it in the first place, and even now they may not agree with it. But guess what? Because of all the compromises that they had to make, now they can't say anything because they're participating in it too. Well, for me, I'm going to choose to take a stand and choose the harder road, the road less traveled, because ultimately it makes it easier for me to stand for my values, to even if I'm willing to take some more difficulty in my life. And I had a friend of mine that said something the other day, and you got to choose your hard, right? We can choose to have an easy life now. We can choose to make the easy choices now, and life will be hard. Or we can choose to make the hard choices now and do the hard things now, and life will be easy. So it's all about choosing your hard, right? So, you know, the thing is, we are getting some results from making these actions. we have a couple of different clips to play here, but we got Patrick Bet David was talking about this the other day. Do you got that clip, Darius? Yeah, wrong one. Yeah, oh no, that's the right one. I'm sorry.
Half of their stock. You know how much they've lost? So $195 billion. They've lost 56% of their stock. It's so bad right now that guess who's celebrating down close to Apple? Because Apple's the only one that can buy it. And now Bob Iger is kind of trying to split up the company so people can buy pieces at a time.
This is facts.
So let's look at Bob Iger. Bob Iger chose the wrong enemies. What did Bob do? Bob chose parents as enemies, and he chose the transgender community as his allies. What? Your number one customer isn't kids. Your number one customer is the person that controls, has the power of the remote. That is the parent. You thought for a second the kid is putting on. You got to win the parents over. So what happens? Flop after flop after flop.
So, and then let's play the next one, Darius. If we can go ahead and play
8
that
films, and instead of making millions of dollars, they lost over $890 million after the box office numbers were released. And Disney came out with their first movie featuring a non-binary character in Elemental, and the first numbers that came out with that box office were the lowest that Disney has ever seen in the history of Disney movies. Not only have they lost millions of dollars, but they've also lost millions of subscribers on Disney Plus, their streaming platform. And to me, I don't think they're really in with what their consumers are really wanting to watch on the platform.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not in with what their consumers are wanting to watch on the platform. We actually, I don't know if I told you this, Jarrett, but we can get Disney for free because of our cell phone provider, a named cell phone provider who I won't go into that one now, but they're another woke company, which we need to make that change. We need to get in touch with Patriot Mobile, by the way. Guys, we have chosen to forego that because I'm like, well, I don't want part of my money going over to them, so we're going without. It's not that tough of a decision, but the hard part is that everywhere you turn, everywhere you go, there's this woke ideology being forced upon you because of, and we'll get to more of this in a minute, but the puppet masters, as the opening video mentioned, right? So but these are the results. They are getting hit in the pocketbook where it hurts, and that at least a small part of that has to do with the economy also, but they're getting hit in the pocketbook, so they are pulling back. So, we're making some progress, guys. Don't back down. Continue to stand for what you believe, because if you stand for what you believe, ultimately, we will make a difference. And we do also know that ultimately, God is on the throne. God wins, even though for a time it will look like, and it currently does look like, evil is winning. God wins. We know that. We read the Bible. We already got the playbook, right?
Yeah, exactly. God wins at the end. Right now, we just got to continue the fight. I know sometimes it feels like you're missing out, but you're not really missing out. You're missing out on something that's going to destroy your kids. So I'd rather miss out on that. I'd rather miss out on something. Like if I told you this wasn't a TV show, if this was like a drug, like fentanyl. Hey, this cereal has fentanyl in it, but it's your kid's favorite cereal. You're going to stop giving your kids that cereal because you know the cost. You know what's going to cost to happen to them. It's going to hurt them, make them sick, make them drug addicts. The same thing with this content. They might love Bluey. They might love all the Disney princesses, but you don't want your son to go to the park and come back in a Disney princess outfit because he goes there and he sees a man with a mustache handing out magic wands. You don't want this stuff. It's not what we want our kids. It's not natural. It's not what God wants for us. It's just debauchery. It's just sin being pushed on our generation after generation. And if it was pushed on us too, my generation was one of the first generations they pushed all this nonsense on. They try to, because they try to make us feel bad about everything. You're not an awful person because you don't want your child sexualized. You're not a bad parent because you don't want a grown man with a beard and a dress having your child sit on his lap and read stories. You're actually a caring parent who cares about their child's future and also cares about the children of this country. We cannot let this country go to the wayside. We can't let this country fall. This country was founded by people like us. It's been fought for by people like us, and it'll continue to be fought for by people like us. But if we're silenced, that silence is going to equal death. and we cannot be silent in the face of evil. We cannot be silent in the face of darkness. We have to stand. Even standing against a company that you love is something that you hold near and dear to yourself, because at the end of the day, Disney is not selling rides. Disney is not selling wands. Disney is selling memories. Disney is selling core memories. And do you want your child's core memory to be a man in a dress, or your core memory being something of God, something of from the Bible, something that matters? It's up to you as a parent to decide what those core memories are going to be, and not allow companies like Disney or Target or any other woke company to force these memories on your child.
Yeah. Wow. Those are powerful words, Jared. And I'm not just saying that for effect for camera. Like that hit me. We were talking about the trips to the beach we take instead of the trips to Disneyland. And there was a time, and speaking of core memories, I'm gonna bring this up because I think hopefully let you guys think about this too for you guys. There was a time when we went, and it was just me and the kids, because we dropped mom off at a women's retreat over at the coast, and the kids, they're like, we really want to see the seals, and we went where the seals normally were, and they weren't there, the sea lions. And they're like, man, Dad, we really want to see the sea lions. How can we see the sea lions? So we went, and this was one of the opportunities that I had to teach the kids how to hear God's voice. And my kids know how to hear God's voice because we made a point to teach them how to hear God's voice. And so I said, I'm not going to pray. I want you guys to pray. Guys, pray that we'll find the seals. So they prayed. And I said, okay, where do you feel like God's telling you to go? And they're like, I think, and it was a whole different city. They're like, I think God's telling us to go to Morro Bay. I was like, okay. And most of you guys probably don't know where Morro Bay is. It's on the Central Coast in California. So we were in another city that was about 30 minutes away. And if y'all have been to California, you know it's a lot of driving you have to do. So 30 minutes in California isn't that far away, but in some cities it feels like it's far away. Anyway, they're like, oh, let's go over here. It's 30 minutes away. Let's just drive over there. And we got there, and they're like, oh, we don't hear the seals. I was like, well, but you thought God told us to go here, right? And all of the kids were in agreement. They were like, yeah, they're like, okay, where do we go? Where should we go eat? Because dinner time. Where should we go eat, guys? Like, and we drove around for a minute, and they're like, let's go over here. And I said, okay, let's pray about this. Make sure it's the place. And they all agreed. Okay, this is the place. Okay, so we went there. As soon as we went in there, we heard the seals barking. And so you talk about core memories. That was a core memory for my kids, getting an opportunity to hear God. And I thought, man, that is such a cool thing. So we can have core memories of going on the teacups, or we can have core memories of hearing God, and that's something that'll stick with them forever. But as we're talking about this stuff, guys, and Jared, feel free to jump on that before I move us into the next section here, if you want.
Oh no, I'm good. I love making core memories with my children. Because it's something they'll always talk about. Even when I'm gone in this world, I'm in heaven, my kids will have these memories they could latch on to and remember good times with their father, remember good times with their grandfather. The other day, I would say my kids, we have a group text. They sent me a picture of them and my niece and my father when they were just babies. It was just, they're talking about the time and spending time with their grandfather. And I'm just so happy that they got a chance to be with him and have these memories of him. So you're right. I love that story that you had. It's such a beautiful story about what you with your children and them praying and God answering their prayers. And again, that's a great memory for them to have, because when things are tough and things are going on, they can think about that. You know what? There's this time when I was young, I prayed and God answered my prayers, and I can go to the word, and I go to prayer for my issues. The same thing we're saying before, like you said, they can have a core memory of that, or they can have a core memory of Jafar as a woman in a dress, or like that guy that I can't stand. I was so upset when I seen that guy with the mustache selling those dresses. I mean, like, now that's a memory I'm going to have. So now I have to stay with that memory because I remember that stuff. Like, no one wants this type of thing. You're destroying people's cultures. You're destroying people's memories. And again, most parents don't think about that. When they go to Disneyland or Disney World, they're thinking about, oh, I'm going to get them gifts. I'm going to get them this. I'm going to get them that. But they don't realize their kid is remembering everything that's happening, every little detail, because for them, this is the most magical place on earth. And now you bring in LGBT and trans and guys in dresses. Now that's part of their magic. So when they have these drag queen story hours, they don't see a drag queen. To them, it's just like a clown, because you got the makeup on, all this stuff. You're like a guy in a costume. You're like a superhero. They're replacing our superheroes, replacing our figures, our literary figures with all these trans stuff. And at the bottom line, it's weird. And they only did it for $1 to make some money, and now they're not even making money. So why continue to push this agenda forward if you're losing millions upon millions of dollars? There's only one reason. It's because they want to influence our children with their agenda. They can care less about money, which is crazy because these are billion, trillion-dollar industries showing they can care less about money. They care more about indoctrination than a bottom line, their bottom dollar. And that should scare everyone.
Yeah. And I'm gonna show you something here in just a second. But before you do, Jarrett, don't get mad at me. I'm gonna probably get us canceled right now. But you mentioned these dudes in dresses and kids sitting on their laps. I was like, dude, I'd punch that guy in the face. and I don't care if we get canceled or thrown off the air. I'm gonna just speak the truth. And Jerry, you know that's just how I roll, right? But guys, we know that this is going on, and but what has been their response to this? Darius, can you play the video from Bob Iger showing how he's responding to it?
More of an impact. I mean, you've said to me that you would love to be just out of the culture wars. Do you feel like you're succeeding in that?
Well, I think yes. I mean, I think the noise has sort of quieted down. I've been preaching this for a long time at the company before I left and since I came back, that our number one goal is to entertain. I think, look, the term woke is thrown around rather liberally, no pun intended in that regard. I think a lot of people don't even understand really what it means. The bottom line is that infusing messaging as a sort of a number one priority in our films and TV shows is not what we're up to. They need to be entertaining. And look, where the Disney company can have a positive impact on the world, whether it's fostering acceptance and understanding of people of all different types, great. But generally speaking, we need to be an entertainment first company.
So that is the CEO of Disney, and that's his response. But they're losing millions of dollars over this. Millions, in what's up, Brock Easley? We're losing millions. They're losing millions of dollars from pushing these agendas, but they don't care. Why don't they care? They don't care because the companies, if you know how the corporate world, the big corporate works, it's stock market. They're investors. So the big companies that own Disney and own Target and own all of these other woke agenda companies are the ones pushing this because they got more money than they know what to do with. So they're using this money to drive an evil _# evil agenda, and that they're calling this ESG thing. And the people behind it is two primary companies, BlackRock and Vanguard. And Darius, do we have the video of Larry Fink, CEO of BlackRock, talking about this?
You now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women. We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we're doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen more opportunities. And we're going to have to force change.
When they say force change, what they're talking about is force it down your throat, not just in their companies. They're forcing it in their companies, of course, but they're forcing it upon you and upon your kids. And as we've been silent for far too long, as we've stood idly by and watched this happen, this is what's crept in. And this Larry Fink, this BlackRock, this Vanguard, it's all an evil agenda. And Jarrett, you said something earlier that I want to make a point to come back to. You talked about the abortions, the killing babies, and that is another part of their agenda. But what came to my mind, and you mentioned this, Jarrett mentioned this, it's human sacrifice. It's human sacrifice, and the people are falling victim to this. They don't realize what it is. I think there's some evil people that do realize it, that do know what's going on. But by and large, the people that are initiating these actions don't realize this human sacrifice to evil supernatural forces, and that's what's prevailing on the earth. And I think at some point, Jarrett, we should bring a pastor on to talk about that portion of it. If you guys are interested in us doing that, by the way, let us know in the comments. Hey, yeah, bring a pastor on. We'd love to hear about that. But I think we should bring on a pastor to talk about the biblical viewpoint, biblical worldview, and I have someone specific in mind on this. How these things are literally evil sacrifices to an evil supernatural force.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea because some people don't believe in spiritual warfare. You know, I don't know if you've seen the movie, it's a Nefarious, and there's a scene in Nefarious where a pastor comes in or a priest comes in. He's talking to the guy who's possessed by the demon, and he said, "Oh, demons aren't real. We don't believe in these things and that nature." And there's too many times people get led astray. You know, people don't realize we're in a spiritual battle. You know, there's a lot of evil forces out there. And again, guys, this stuff is not conspiracy. This stuff is biblical. You have to drop that word sometimes. Yes, there's conspiracies out there. There's some crazy ones. There's real ones, or whatever have you. But when it comes down to this stuff, this is not conspiracy. This is biblical. This is stuff that God talked about. This is stuff that's in the Bible. This is stuff that we know that's going on. But again, you need to have your armor. You need to be protected. You need to read your Bible. But also you need to realize what type of fight that you're in, what kind of people that you're battling, and what type of people that, what kind of master they serve. You know, we are going against evils. And some of these evils are people thinking they're doing good. But some of these evil are people who are just evil. A lot of times when I work with TPUSA Faith, I come across people who are devil worshippers. I come across witches, especially when I go to Vermont and New Hampshire. These people are out in the woods practicing witchcraft, you know, and it's not like they're wearing hats or riding on riding on brooms. They're generally out there praying to like wood gods and nymphs and all sorts of things. And God, you can look it up yourself. These are all factual things, but you have to protect yourself against these type of spiritual warfare. And the closer we get to the end times, the more the spiritual warfare is going to get ramped up, especially in places like America, because we have the power here to make real change. And we have the power here to give people religious freedom so they can come to the Lord. You know, we are able to have our Bibles openly. There's other countries that you'll get killed for just having a Bible. So they want to quiet our religious voices, make us seem weird, so we don't continue this battle against evil. And we have to, because this is our role. This is what we're destined to do. And everyone has a role in it, whether your role is to pastor, whether your role is like Mike and I to come and talk on different media platforms, whether your role is to just work in the parking lot and help park cars at church. You can help in this battle, guys. You know, you don't have to be a preacher. You don't have to memorize the Bible. You should know it, but you shouldn't have to memorize it, right? But you guys can be warriors in this fight. So continue watching shows like ours, continue to read your Bible, and continue following like-minded people, and watch out for those false prophets. There's tons of them out there leading people astray. And I'll say this is a personal thing, like a Pastor Todd. Like if you watch guys like him, guys, those are false prophets leading you astray. Those are motivational speakers, not giving you the word, not protecting you, not teaching you the right things. So don't look for a motivational speaker. Look for a pastor, look for a priest, look for a minister that can guide you, right? And don't think you know everything about the Lord and the Bible, because even Michael Jordan had a coach. You know what I mean? So everyone needs a pastor or someone they can talk to about the word.
That's right. That's right. And guys, we will be bringing somebody to talk about biblical worldview here in the future. But tomorrow, we actually do have a pastor coming on with us. And Janet Boynes. Do you know Janet, Jarrett? She'll be coming on our show. Renata booked this one. So that's going to be a fun conversation. We'll probably get into some of this stuff that we're talking about today. But guys, for now, thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless.